All right, what's going on? Today is October 6th, and welcome back to the Extra Innings Podcast. I am your host, Elijah, and we're back today in the midst of the best time of the year, I'd say, October baseball. We got the Division Series happening. Well, have already been happening, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah. So I know I've been kind of AWOL a little bit. Missed all the wild card. Well, I was watching the wild card, just wasn't doing any podcasts. The wild card was something, man. The wild card series. I give a brief recap of it. Obviously, we had the captivating series between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Red Sox going up, obviously beating them. Yankees coming back, taking 2 out of 3 there. With a performance from Schlittler that was godly, beating or besting Connolly early. Crazy game. Obviously, we had the Dodgers just trample all over the Reds, which can't say that we didn't see that coming. Anything else that really wasn't crazy? I don't really think I saw anything that was really out of the ordinary. You expected the Yankees to beat Boston, though the Boston kind of had their number for most of the season. I'm trying to think if there was anything in the Tigers Guardian series was close. They won. That was another 3-game series, obviously, and then you had the Padres and the Cubs. That was a good series, which was ended ultimately on I even struggle saying that it was because of the call in the 9th on Bogarts. My thing with this, and I know like last episode we literally talked about ABS and it getting introduced next year, and everyone was like, prime example. Like, yeah, prime example, but let's not, completely forget about the previous 8 innings where they could have scored. Offense just didn't show up there. So bad call in the 9th. That was a swing pitch, 100%. It could have changed the trajectory of the entire 9th inning for the Padres. But had you played ball, the other 9 innings would have been a different story. Again, LA and Cincinnati, I never thought that Cincinnati stood a chance. And personally, I think that's what happens. Obviously, the Mets didn't deserve to be there, though the Mets would have put up a much bigger fight against LA. Hell, I even think Arizona might have put up a bigger fight against LA, which they kind of did the last couple of months of the season because they played them quite a bit in August and then again in September. So that LA Cincinnati series was kind of a it's kind of a wash. And then again, I watched all 3 games of the Detroit Cleveland. Cleveland right there. Gavin Williams pitched great. Tanner Bybee pitched great. Obviously, Tarek Skubal pitched well. Honestly, the biggest piece of that, and we'll kind of get into those different things. But then again, obviously, between Boston and New York, that was an incredible series. A lot of game 3s that came out of this wild card process. But now we are here. We're in the divisional series now. Some guys are on game 2. Some guys are going into game 3 tomorrow. Kind of blown it, but we've got a new plan. We're going to be moving forward with these. All right. So right now we've got LA and Philly, which is about to start in probably about 15 minutes. You got Blake Snell versus Jesus Luzardo. And then later tonight, you've got the Cubs and the Brewers, who the Brewers absolutely destroyed Chicago. Well, not even absolutely destroyed, because somebody got absolutely destroyed Saturday and Sunday. We're going to talk about those first. So convincing win is probably the best way to put it for Milwaukee over Chicago on Saturday. I think, honestly, out of the 2, and again, I can't really speak. I didn't watch the Phillies game. I was at a benefit on Saturday night and missed the game, but we're going to review it. I was not happy that I had to miss that game, but I did. I was at a benefit for Kinetic Kids, special needs foundation here in San Antonio. So I was at that, missed the LA game. I did watch the Yankee game, and I watched the Brewers and the Cubs. Both of those were not really games. The series that's honestly the tightest that I was not expecting. Well, I guess you kind of maybe. I'm not super versed. I didn't watch the Tigers a lot this year, and I definitely didn't watch Seattle at all this year. Mostly because I didn't watch a lot of Seattle games because they play on the East Coast, and I'm not watching a game at 10 o'clock at night. It's not going to happen. That's probably half the problem. The Tigers have been in 2 tight series, right? So I did catch the very end on Saturday night, the Seattle and Detroit game 2. I know Munoz, I think it's how you pronounce his name, pitched 2 innings, which is rare for him. And Seattle ultimately lost with a hit that scored a run in the I think it was the 11th on Saturday night. So a tight game there. Another tight game yesterday, but Seattle won before they head back to Detroit. So that series is tied 1-1. And then obviously I'm trying, as you can tell. And if you listen to the show, you know I'm a Yankee fan through and through. You know. But it's been a I don't even know how to put it. It's just been heartbreaking to watch New York play these last couple of games. It's been no words. But yeah, so Toronto absolutely railed New York on Saturday. I think it was 10-1. And then again exploded yesterday. I think it was 13-7. Some late life, I think in like the 5th or the 6th, maybe the 7th. I stopped watching again. I stopped watching before they put Warren in. I think when it went 5-0 and Max Fried didn't have it, I turned it off. But let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about today. A lot of good stuff happening. So first, we're going to talk about the Yankees. The Yankees. Oh man. So let's see. Let's see some box scores, huh? Let's see some box scores. That's what I want to kind of dive into this. So let's see here. All right. So October 4th, let's see the box. All right. So we had Luis Gil start game 1. Now, going into the game, I had a feeling that if they were going to wash one, you just came off the wild card. We went to church on Sunday, and I was talking to multiple people about this, right? And a few of us that are ball fans kind of came into an agreement. If you were going to wash a game, it was going to be that one, considering you just came off the wild card and how much you expended in that wild card, how much you gave up, right? You threw a lot of guys. You threw, obviously, everyone pretty much threw the wild card series. Cruz, it was intense. There was a lot of energy, a lot of energy expended in that series, right? I think that's the best way to put it. So you threw Reed, who threw a gem, then you go to Rodon, then they went to Schlittler, off day, into the division series, and then at that point, you're kind of like, do we throw Warren? Do we throw Gil? They ended up going with Gil, right? But here's the issue, and this is the problem. So you look at Gil. Gil did not great. Gave up 2 runs before he left. He went 2 and 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 2 strikeouts, but 2 bombs, 2 solo shots. And then they went to Tim Hill, and they went to Doval, clean slate, 2 clean innings. Weaver didn't even get an out, so that was bad. I think his ERA now is like a 135. Weaver we've missed Weaver from July now. I mean, he was elite last year, kind of earned that closing role, and he's not been the same guy. Was it a 1-season thing? I don't know. He's just nowhere near the same guy. I didn't trust him most of the year. When he went in the game, I didn't really trust it. So, interesting. Fernando Cruz, 2 clutch. That game, I don't think he did anything clutch, and then they put in Blackburn to kind of wash it. The pitching was not good. I mean, in total, they gave up 14 hits. You're not winning a game giving up 14 hits. It's just not going to happen. 3 bombs, not going to happen there. 10 runs, all earned. We walked 2 guys and only had 2 strikeouts the entire game. And that's something credit to the Blue Jays right there. They're going to hit the ball. They've done it all year. They are like the team that strikes out, I think, the least in the entire American League. It's who they are. Sure. Now, the problem with the game 1 was that even when they took Gil out, it was still a game. It was 2-0. And at one point, Gausman, and here's the thing, we're going to get into the whole thing, but the thing with Gausman is he has a semi-decent fastball, so it's 93-6, I think, maybe probably just 5, and he throws that's a splitter. The splitter seems to be the death of the Yankees. It's just they cannot hit a splitter, and I get a right-hand splitter coming out. It's going to dip away from the lefty. They have a lot of lefties. I know it's hard to lay off, but they just could not lay off the splitter. And I get it. Great tunneling. Gausman's done okay, but again, an ERA, let me look up Gausman, like yearly stats. A 3.59 ERA, 10-11, has not been great. Even in the postseason, career postseason, he's a 4.31 ERA. It's nothing to write home about, right? But he was just spamming that splitter, just over and over and over and over. And no one could hit it. Then they went to Varland, to Dominguez, to Little, to Hoffman, call it a game. But the worst part is that the Yankees offense, from all of the excitement and the energy and the kind of the like momentum that they gained, just kind of completely collapsed. I really thought going into this was going to be a better series for them over Boston, because Boston's had their number. But then again, so has Toronto all year. I know like there was multiple games at the Rogers Center. The Yankees got embarrassed over the season. So I know that happened. But I really thought that this was going to be a better series for them. Like they were going to really come in there and it was going to be, they were going to do something, right? No. Guerrero Jr., 3 for 4. I mean, but look at this. Grisham, 0 for 3. Judge, 2 for 4. So Judge is kind of still doing a little bit. Bellinger, 0 for 3. Rice, 0 for 4. Stanton, 0 for 4. Chisholm, 1 for 4. McMahon, 1 for 3. Caballero came in for a pinch hit, didn't get a hit. Volpe, 1 for 4. And Wells, 1 for 3. For a team that walked so much, and I get that maybe they're playing analytics, maybe like we're going to jump on the fastball first. They were swinging at everything. They didn't even, it felt like, hey, he's going to spam splitter, sit back on one. Nope. Even in the game yesterday, there was a point where Savage threw 4 straight balls, and the next guy came up. I don't remember who it was. Whiffs at the first pitch. He just threw 4 in a row, bro. Like the approach. And I think this has more to do with an approach than necessarily like them not being able to get the job done. Because we're talking about the Yankees, right? They should, in theory, be able to hit the ball. So again, Saturday, 10-1. They were in the game for a while. At one point, they had the bases loaded against Gausman, however you pronounce that dude's name. He strikes out somebody. He walks Bellinger for a run, so it's 2-1. And then I think Stanton or whoever. Yeah, so he strikes out Judge in a big situation. So bases loaded, strikes out Judge on a pitch that ball 4. Bellinger comes up, takes a 4-pitch walk. Rice comes up, strikes out, leave the bases loaded. So at the entirety, they got 1 on a walk. And then after that, it was over. But even then, at that point, it was a 2-1 game. It was a 2-1 game into the 6th. And then the 7th, just see you later. Completely gone. They scored 4 in the 7th and the 8th and forget it, right? So watch that game. And I don't even want to, personally, I don't even want to talk about yesterday. But we have to talk about yesterday. Because it plays off of what's going to happen tomorrow. Let's see here. Let's talk about it. If there's anything to talk about. Now, again, before we go any further, I said, hey, if they're going to watch a game, let it be game 1. Because then you got Fried coming out, then you got Rodon. Then if you make it there, you get Schlittler. Hey, if you're going to watch a game, watch it with your 4 or 5 starter and come back the next game with your ace. Max Fried did not show up at all yesterday. I mean, he was nowhere to be found. And again, the same concept. You Savage. I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know enough about the guy. He throws with the really high arm slot. It's different. A lot of guys are more 3/4. He's over the top. There's a lot of different ways to analyze the guy's pitching. I didn't watch him at all. He started in A-ball. Now he's pitching in the postseason. It's a great story. Whatever. I'm not taking that away. It is what it is. The guy has decent repertoire. That splitter he throws is nasty. Call it for what it is. But now, at some point, you're the New York Yankees. You got to come with something. They didn't show up again. Grisham, 1 for 5. Judge, 2 for 3. Not bad. Bellinger, 1 for 4. Rice, 2 for 4. Stanton, 2 for 5. Chisholm, 0 for 4. McMahon, 1 for 4. Volpe, 0 for 4. Wells, 0 for 2. And then Goldschmidt came in for the pinch hit. But yeah, they got 10 hits on 7. They got 7 runs, but they struck out 15 times. Savage had like 11 through 5. It was absurd. Absolutely absurd. And that's the problem, right? So now, and not only that, let's go to the pitching. We haven't even talked about the pitching. Max Fried gave up 8 hits and 7 runs, 7 earned. Then they went to Warren, which and here's the problem, right? There's 2 ways to look at it, right? So people were pissed that Boone put in Warren because that was almost like conceding. Like, oh, here's the guy that we know you've ripped to shreds all year. I think there was a point where the Blue Jays put up like 7 during the year. on Warren before he got like out of the first. So I know that there was a lot of people on Twitter when I was watching that were upset that was pretty much conceding. And it's kind of like hindsight 2020, right? You look at it, Warren ended up going 4, but if you take away the grand slam, if you take away that pitch on Vlad, whenever they scored 7, right? They put up, but in the 7th inning, you take away 4, it's 7-7. That's where people got upset. It's like, well, if you didn't put in Warren, if you put in a high leverage reliever, I think at that point Boone knew that, hey, this might get out of hand, and I can kind of again, you're playing analytics, you're playing the all these different scenarios. So I get it. It's a split. But I personally, you put Warren in. He's not bad. You trust him. He's been starting games all year. Why not? That's what I think. But again, it didn't pan out. He ended up giving 7 hits. He gave up 6 runs, 6 earned, 4 strikeouts, and then Weaver came in for 1 out to make his ERA a 1.35. That's his first out of the postseason. Ugly, ugly, ugly numbers. Now, obviously, a Savage, 5 1/3. 11 strikeouts. He left. And here's the thing now. And here's where, kind of going into the next point. So we've kind of gone over the game. Well, we can go over there hitting Varsho, 2 bombs. I mean, Guerrero again, 3 for 5, 4 RBIs. Varsho, 4 RBIs. Clement got that home run that who knows how it got out. I mean, the lineup is okay. It's all right. I just don't they had a lot of production. They're a hot team right now. I'm not going to take that away from them. I just don't think and again, maybe call me biased, as a Yankee fan, there's no way that this lineup should be putting up this kind of beating on a team like the Yankees. But I will say, if they do somehow make it past the Yankees and they play Seattle or Detroit, Toronto is going to go to the World Series. Because if they're going to play like this, I think that Detroit and Seattle are nowhere near the caliber of the Yankees. Call it for what it is. They're not even close. And that's going to turn into a bloodbath real quick. Because if they play like this against a team that's less than the Yankees, forget it. They're going to the World Series. Which, hey, congrats to them, right? But anyway, so we go into today, right? So and my point now going into, do the Yankees really have a shot? And I found this article. I thought it was kind of comical to read. It's from CBS Sports, and they go, how the Yankees can come back from a 2-0 ALDS deficit, which they've done almost in 2017 against Cleveland. It's not impossible. Again, we've now seen the Yankees where they immediately dug themselves in a hole in the wild card, backs against the wall, and 1-2 straight. What's one more, right? It's possible. It's not improbable, right? The Yankees can do it, and they have a strong enough lineup to do it. Right. So this thing says, and we're just going to glaze over these. Great start from Rodon. No shit. I've been arguing with people on Twitter all day. They're like, if Rodon has a great game, yeah, Rodon has to throw well, but Rodon can go out, have a great game, give up 2 runs. And if they have offense like they just had, you can forget it. They'll lose 2-0. That's the problem. So yes, Rodon has to have a good outing. That's obvious. Ball has to leave the park. Yeah. The Yankees, here's the thing. And the other thing with the Yankees is this. They've been known to hit the long ball all year. They lead in slugging. They lead in home runs. The best offense in baseball. And they've now, even in the wild card against Boston, they didn't hit very many home runs. They didn't. I think Volpe hit 1, and that may have been it. Honestly, I don't think they've hit very many home runs. And then the game against Early, they were just stringing hits, just putting the ball where they weren't and making the defense work. And when you put balls in play, and you hit the ball, which is what Toronto does really well, they hit the ball and they put the pressure on the defense to play, that's when things are going to happen. And they've seen it happen. They just have to do it. They just have to have better at-bats, better looks, better approaches, and then that can happen. So, yeah, that's 100% true. And then, obviously, home field advantage is big. And playing in Yankee Stadium is going to be daunting. And right now we have a thing of it's Bieber versus Rodon. Rodon can pitch well. He's had a great year. Bieber is one that I'm like, he doesn't have a splitter, thank the Lord. He doesn't have a splitter, right? But he's coming off Tommy John, obviously. Doesn't have a huge sample size of stats this year. I think for the year he's 4-2 with a 3.57. And I looked up his stats. I think he's somewhere in the 40s. But his career postseason, he's 1-1 with a 5 ERA in the postseason with 18 innings pitched. So not a small sample size. I think that's about 2 starts probably, or 3, maybe 3 or 4 starts in the postseason. Again, you got to kind of sit back and be like, okay, what are we really going to expect from Shane Bieber? I think the Yankees, if they're going to have a chance to win, it's going to be on Shane Bieber, because here's where it works in their favor. Here's where it's going to work in their favor. You got Rodon, Bieber. Let's say that Rodon has the upper hand. The Yankees win tomorrow. Awesome. Come the next day. But here's the other problem with what I was trying to say earlier, and I keep forgetting to talk about this, is that Savage left it with maybe 70 pitches. I think it was maybe a little bit less. So he's going to be in the bullpen. Will he be fresh? I don't know. See, that's another factor. He's a rookie. He's not going to be fresh. They're going to use him out of the bullpen. Something new could be a factor there. But they're looking to probably have a bullpen day game 4, because they don't have a 4th, 5th starter. They're not going to have Bassett, and what's that guy? Barrios is hurt, so he's not even on the roster. So you're going to have a bullpen day that day. That's another time for the Yankees to attack and win that game. And they got Schlittler on the mound that game. So the idea is to win tomorrow, come at the bullpen, deplete the bullpen game 4, and force the game 5. That's the best option. But again, game 5, you're looking probably back at, I don't know, probably Gausman again. Probably, right? Yeah, that's about 5 days. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Do I think they have a chance? Absolutely. I think if there's a shot that they're going to do it, it's going to be against Bieber and then against the bullpen. But again, if they start spamming dudes with splitters, might be a different story. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, that's a game that you're not going to want. I highly doubt that the Yankees are going to come out and give performances like they gave Saturday and Sunday at home, backs against the wall. They showed that they're not going to do that in New York again with Boston. So we will see. I know I went on a long time about that, but that's probably the biggest series right now, to be honest with you. That and this one, which I'm going to talk about, is the Phillies and the Dodgers. So Otani on Saturday pitched, I don't know how many shutout innings. Let's see what we got here. Does my home smell like dog pee? What are these ads, bro? I think it's like insanity what Otani's doing, man. It's insanity. Okay, so box score 5-3. So this is going to be, I'm pumped. Like I'm the minute I'm done here with this episode, my ass is running to the living room to turn on this game. I don't have my cable login here, so I'm going to have to run somewhere else to watch that game, but I'm pumped, right? This is going to be a freaking game. So tonight, again, so the first game was Christopher Sanchez. Is that his name? Christopher. I don't know why Cristobal. What the hell is that? Christopher Sanchez versus Otani. Otani went 6 3-hit innings, 9 strikeouts. What a performance. When you expect anything less. And they put Glass now at the bullpen, which I don't think he's done since. He had to have been a Ray. Yeah, he hasn't done it in LA. Maybe in Pittsburgh? No, it had to have been in LA. I mean, in Tampa. Comes out the bullpen, 1 2/3, had another good outing, 1 hit, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. That's the thing with Glass now. He's going to do a lot of walks. He throws a lot of balls. He's a high-intensity guy. Then Vesia, who's pretty much, I mean, I don't know. I can't think of a time. I mean, obviously, probably pre-2018 maybe, but like, I can't think of a time that I haven't seen the Dodgers turn to Vesia in a high-leverage game. And then that wild card that no one, honestly, I kind of forgot about Roki Sasaki for like half the year. But he is evolved into this closer, and I think he's going to hold on to that role for a long time. He's an X factor. The dude's nasty. He was struggling coming out the gate this year. I think there was a lot of pressure on him, especially playing with Otani. There's a lot of people that were kind of putting them in the same boat. Like he's kind of the same caliber. First of all, no one is the same caliber as Shohei Otani. Let's just call that for what it is. He's from a cloth that no one else is cut from. And Sasaki came over, obviously pitched in the World Baseball Classic. That's where I first saw him. That's where a lot of people first saw him. And there's a lot that he has to offer. There's a lot of what he is. And then he got hurt and he was kind of in that myriad of Dodger injuries for half the year. The Dodgers was not mysteriously, because they still have a lot of talent, played throughout without. Then he comes back like I think the last week of the season, and he's just, from when he was pitching 93, 96 half in his starts, he's now throwing 100, 101 with that nasty splitter, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And that's the thing, right? So you think, okay, they throw Otani, they got to have Yamamoto coming next. Like, no, they're going to go freaking Snell. The pitching depth for the Dodgers is disgusting. They have so many starters that they're using Glass now, Sasaki, and Kershaw all are going to be coming out of the bullpen. Wow. What What a bag to pull from, right? So that's going to be insane. And I'm assuming that Sasaki's going to be closing games for the foreseeable future going into 2026, unless something happens over the offseason. Obviously, they're losing Kershaw, retirement. There's a lot of things that may change that he may work back into a starting role. But I mean, with how much success he's had in that closing role, I highly doubt it. And then moving over to the Phillies, Turner came back. He had an 0 for game on Saturday. Man, I'll tell you what, I will say this, and I was talking to my girlfriend about it because she's kind of getting into ball now that we pretty much have it on every single day. The big thing, and this is something that I'm obviously rooting. I wanted the Diamondbacks to get into the wild card. That didn't happen, so we eliminate that. I always root for the Diamondbacks, and they had a hell of a year despite how it ended. I think for selling at the deadline and coming as close as they did, fighting for that last wild card spot was pretty impressive. Obviously, Perdomo had a year that I'm hoping he can continue to have. But, then let's say the Yankees, again, shit themselves in the Bronx tomorrow night. I want Bryce Harper to get a ring. I need it. I need him to have one. And I know that, he signed long-term with Philadelphia, and they've built this team around him. And obviously for the last, I want to say at least 4 years, the Phillies have been a good team. They've been a hard fighting, whatever. I don't even know where I'm going with this. They've been a great team. They're like kind of like the Padres. They just never put it together. I know in 23 they got eliminated by the Diamondbacks. Last year they got eliminated by, I think it was LA. No, I don't know who they got eliminated by last year, but they didn't make it to the championship series because that was between the Mets and LA. I think they got out of the wild card. I got to find this out now. It's going to bother me. Who did the Phillies lose to? They lost to the Mets. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in the DS. Okay, so they lost to the Mets in the DS. Okay, I stand corrected. Anyway, so they've always kind of had this really strong team. They got Turner from the LA. They got obviously Schwarber, Harper, Bohm, Marsh, Real Muto. Then they didn't have Bader, and they didn't have and I think they had Kepler. But like their pitching has always been stellar. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez kind of came up. Now they have Jesus Luzardo. They just traded that stud away at the deadline too. That guy was really good. I forgot his name. They've had a lot of really good pieces. Strom in the bullpen, Alvarado coming out of the bullpen. They always had really good, solid pieces that just could never quite put it together. Went flat at the wrong times. They're a tough team. Again, putting a 5-3 game against the Dodgers against Yamamoto, throwing 6 3-hit innings, like that's no slouch, man. Like they're a good team, and they struck first in this game. They struck 3 in the second and kept LA scoreless through at least 5. And then they kind of, the 6th and 7th really came back to get them, and that's where they lost the game. Ultimately, 2 runs in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, and then they were held scoreless after that. I think if their relievers can come in, obviously, I think it was Robertson that gave up that 6 and 7. Those 6 or at least the 6th runs. I think if they can limit that with their high leverage relievers and put some runs on the board and slug like they do, Turner probably came out a little rusty, hasn't been playing. He's been out for about a month. Kind of get these guys going. I mean, a great job holding Schwarber, one of the best DHs in the National League, hitless is impressive in all in itself. But if those guys come alive, it's going to be a different game. And today is going to be another hell of a pitching matchup. Kind of a little bit of inexperience in Luzardo versus Snell, who's got a lot of experience. But again, Luzardo he's no slouch, man. Like, what are his stats on the year? I do know he wears those goggles for no reason. Fun fact. Doesn't need them, but he wears them. It's kind of cool. So career on the year, 6 ERA. I'm sorry, that's career. I'm an idiot. All right, so 3.92, 15 and 7. So not bad. 183 innings. So they used him this year, right? Coming in this postseason. Let's see. Have they already started? They've already started. He's got a strikeout. Good to know. I might have to put it on. I might have to get distracted. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Can Snell hold him off, or can the inexperience come through? And then we've got the Mariners versus the Tigers. Obviously, 2 of the closest games. I think game 1 went, 11. And then last night, like the game that you thought that Detroit would win with Skubal on the mound, they ended up not winning, and Jorge Polanco took it to him. 2 home runs off Tarek Skubal. Get the heck. Like, what? And that's a guy that, like, you don't even, like, expect it from, right? Minnesota dumped him after he'd been there for quite a bit of time. He was an all-star in 19. That was 6 years ago, and then here he is exploding on the scene again for Seattle in a big way. Munoz did really good, obviously throwing back-to-back innings, and then came out again yesterday and shut the door for him. But game 1 was intense. Game 2, another really close game, 2-3 ball game. So you had on Saturday 3-2 Detroit over Seattle, and then the next day 3-2 Seattle over Detroit. So it's gonna be, these guys are neck and neck. I think that side of the playoff bracket was so evenly matched with Cleveland, Detroit, then Detroit and Seattle. Like, that's gonna be, these guys are gonna be fighting it out, man. They're gonna be fighting it out. And tonight, they're not playing tonight, off night tonight, obviously playing 2 games in a row, traveling back to Detroit. I'm wondering who's gonna start. Let me see if they have the probables. Oh, so they got, okay. Oh. Another great pitching matchup, Logan Gilbert, Jack Flaherty, who Jack Flaherty's been really great, 8-15. Record doesn't show at 4.64, but he's another guy who's got a lot of postseason experience. Gilbert 6-6 with a 3.44. Not as much. I don't think he's thrown in the postseason before. So again, kind of a vet, another vet versus a newbie situation, which will be interesting. Yeah, must-win game to kind of take it. And I think that aside from Skubal, Flaherty's the next best choice that they have in that rotation to kind of get them through some length before having to turn to that bullpen. But I think the guy, honestly, watching the Cleveland series and watching Will Vest is underrated. Like, I hadn't heard of him. I watched him throw twice in the Cleveland series in Detroit, and he has some tools, man. Like, I'm not even like he is composed. He's good in big situations for them. Like, he's another weapon. If you can get through, at least if the starter can get through 5, and you can turn it over to maybe like a Canely or maybe a couple other guys for the 6th, 7th, and then you run Vest out for 8, 9, like, Tigers can do it, man. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, Tigers can do it. But again, I think that's a must-win game for Detroit, because then after that, do they even have, I think that's going to be an off day. They're going to throw Mize. So, and I mean, it's all probables, right? So it's not for sure. But again, like, that's who they threw in the Cleveland series. I think they went Skubal, Mize, and then Helton for the bullpen game, or Milton, or a young guy, long hair, I forgot, lefty. But yeah, Detroit's going to go with Mize. Doesn't look like they have a starter for Seattle yet for Wednesday. So we're going to see. I do expect, honestly, I think Detroit takes tonight. Or I'm sorry, I think Detroit takes tomorrow night. And I think they end it, and Detroit moves on to the championship series on Wednesday. It's going to be interesting. And the Cubs versus Brewers. Now, again, not a whole lot of information to say here. We've only had one game, and there wasn't a whole lot to show for it. There wasn't a whole lot happening necessarily. The Brewers jumped on Boyd immediately. I watched a good chunk of this game. Let me see if I can get the box score on that one. There wasn't really a whole lot happening, but I know that Boyd gave. I think they were down. Yeah, they were down 6 in the first. So that one was kind of out of hand. And then I think I turned it off after the second, because then they put up more. Yeah, they put up another 3. So it was 9-1 in the second. I think the Cubs ended up crawling back scratching another one off. So it ended up being 9-3. But again, this Brewers team, and I've been telling people this, I have a lot of coworkers that are from the Wisconsin area, huge Brewer fans, and they've kind of got this PTSD, like, we're not going to get our hopes up. I'm like, I think you should get your hopes up, man, because this Brewer team is something else, man. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, this is a brand of baseball that wins championships. Like, they can pitch, they play defense, and they hit the ball. All 3, they do all 3 tremendously. They've got a great pitching staff. They got a lot of youth. They look really good. And watching them just absolutely rip up Boyd, who pitched well most of the year. Like, he did decent. He was kind of their go-to guy for most of the year. And I thought that the Cubs would kind of double down on pitching at the deadline, and they didn't, which I think might come back and get him. Obviously, they're going to rely on Imanaga tonight. He's going to be their guy. The Brewers are strong. They had Freddie Peralta on the mound, who's going to give you a hundo. Gave you 5 or 6 solid, almost 6 solid innings, but 5 2/3. Like, and they have Ashby, Koenig, Mears. And then I think, like, I don't know what they're planning on doing with, a couple of the other pieces, but, like, they got a decent bullpen. Like, I wouldn't sleep on that either. But between, obviously, I think the biggest scare that Milwaukee had, and even then, I don't think it's really going to break their stride if he doesn't play tonight, was Chourio, who had a hamstring issue, like I think in like the third, or I think is it in his second or third at bat, running out of ball the first. I did see that. Immediately left. He wasn't on the ground and he wasn't really like limping, so maybe it's not as bad. They haven't really released anything. I know it's day to day, but that would be kind of kind of a little bit of a hurt piece, maybe a problem. I don't think that breaks their stride. They went in and put in Collins after that, and he kind of took it over, and then they went Lockridge. So I don't think that's necessarily going to be a problem if he's not able. I would rather if they win tonight, you rest Chourio for the rest of the series and roll him out for the championship series, the ALCS. That's my thought. But again, this lineup, I think that between Nico Warner, Kyle Tucker, and Suzuki, I'm not super. That's who they're going to have to worry about, because those are the guys that have been doing the most damage. And even then, Kyle Tucker's still kind of a mixed bag because he hasn't been playing well all year, and he was injured, and he went through a massive slump at one point. And they put him on the IL because his calf was hurt, and there was a lot of problems. Crow Armstrong, I think, was struggling most of the year. Had a lot of. He went through a big slump as well. Swanson plays great defense, but I wouldn't rely on him on the bat. So you're going to have to rely on some pieces to come through. I mean, you can't count on Shaw either for the at bat. He didn't get a hit at all on Saturday. So I mean, the big piece, and it sounds obvious, and it sounds like something they obviously should be Bush, Horner, Tucker, Suzuki, Happ. Those are the ones you got to worry about. Armstrong can be good. He can be that guy, but I don't think I've seen enough from him, at least in the last month and a half, that makes me feel like he's going to turn into that guy all of a sudden. But he can, because he gets on the bases. He's a problem. He's a threat. But again, I don't know. I still think that, the Cubs are a good team. They're a good team. But the Brewers, for what it is, whether it's a one-time thing, and I don't think it is, because you've got Chourio, Terang, Contreras, Yelich, Vaughn, Frelick, Sal Frelick, Caleb Durbin, Perkins. I mean, their lineup is really, really stacked. It is really stacked. It's going to be hard for me to think that Chicago comes up on top on this one. I think it might be a clean sweep. That's my prediction. I think that the Brewers sweep Chicago. I think they're going to come out and have a great day. Who is pitching tonight for the Brewers? I know it's in Managa. For the Cubs, Ashby. Okay. But then I'm trying to see if they're going to use, what's that guy? What the hell is that guy? The Brewers guy. God, why am I blanking on his name? You're kidding me. I'm going to sound like a moron not knowing. Mizorowski. God, man. What is the plan with Mizorowski? I haven't heard anything on him. What is the plan? I know he kind of fell off. Yeah, right here. Let's see. 5 days ago, where does Miz fit into the where does he fit in? Yeah, October. Wherever they put me. No shit. Yeah, they lost Miller, who they got at the deadline. A lot of right-handed options. Yeah, they're going to use him out of the bullpen. And that's what I figured. I didn't think that they were going to really turn over a starting role for him, especially in these big games. Not yet, at least. Maybe in the next couple of years, but definitely not this year. So yeah, I think that it's smart to use him out of the bullpen. 103 is going to play one way or the other, and with his stuff, wild or not, he's going to play. But yeah, so kind of going into this, I don't know what to expect out of the Yankees. Kind of wrapping this up here, I don't know what to expect out of the Yankee series. Do I think, in my heart of hearts, that New York can pull something out of their ass with their back against the wall like they did in Boston? Yeah. Again, they're going to have to hit the ball. I don't, again, another one that I don't know. In all honesty, the only series that I kind of have a definite prediction is going to be the Brewers coming up on top of the Cubs. That's one that I think is going to happen for sure. Mariners, Detroit, if Flaherty throws well and Mize throws well the next game after that, I think Detroit can take it away from Seattle. I think Seattle's weak on arms when it comes to starting pitching. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't see a whole lot besides, the closing role. There's a lot of question marks in that middle bullpen if the starter can't give you 5-6. It's going to be interesting. Detroit does have that bullpen, though. So I think maybe Detroit has the upper hand there. And then Phillies and Dodgers, I'm missing the game. I'm about to hop in and go watch it right now. But that's going to be a tough one, especially tonight and especially tomorrow. Because who's pitching? Or not, maybe not tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Not tomorrow, but on Wednesday. They got Dodgers are going to have Yamamoto. I'm assuming Suarez, if Suarez is not hurt. Is Suarez hurt? No, they're going to use him as a bullpen piece. Ooh, they used him as a bullpen piece. So they're going to plan on using him as a bullpen piece tonight. Dang, so who's going to be the third starter? Nola? It's got to be Nola. Yeah, no, I don't know what's happening. They don't. Again, with these postseason things, there's so many questions with some of these pitching staffs. I read one article saying that Rangers going to be using the leverage situation in Game 2, but now this thing says that he's the Game 3 starter, which what I figured would be it because Nola's been too shaky to be. He's going to be a 4 guy. I don't know. We're gonna have to find. This is gonna get juicy. It's gonna get crazy. I'm pumped. I'm excited. But tomorrow I won't be excited if the Yankees get their teeth kicked in again. I might go into hibernation and sleep for about 2 days. I don't know. But once again, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This is the most exciting time of the year, right? We got playoff baseball. October baseball gets wild, gets crazy. There's a lot happening. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I hope you are too. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Get on Twitter. I'm always talking to people on Twitter all day pretty much. I've been on Twitter talking mess to people or debating people. It's fun talking baseball on socials, man. It's fun. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you listen. Be sure to rate us. It helps a lot. You know the spiel. You know everything. I don't know what that was. Jesus. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will catch you guys in the next episode.